Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on Demon Slayer Season 2! Oh! So, back when Demon Slayer Season 1 first came out, I had not started this channel yet, but my younger brother and I watched it. We watched the sub first, and then I went back and watched the dub because I really liked it. We both really liked this series a lot, and I was excited they were making a Season 2. And so around the time I started this channel, I thought, well, if they ever do Season 2 and it comes out, then I'll just put it on the poll and we'll see what happens. And so it was actually on the poll, but I think it was on the same poll as like Attack on Titan, so it did not win. So I said, if I ever reach a certain subscriber goal on YouTube, then I'll start watching Season 2. Here we are. So thank you everybody for 4,500 subscribers on YouTube. I don't deserve y'all's kindness and support, but I am very, very grateful for it. So thank you for listening to my ramblings. But I love Demon Slayer. And so if you go to my channel and you go to my playlist, on the Demon Slayer playlist, I did react to Mugen Train, to the movie, and I did what I call a soapbox, which is just a basic review of Season 1, since I'm not going to react to Season 1 because I'd already watched it. If you're new to my channel, I basically go in blind to these series. I have not watched Season 2 at all. I know nothing about Season 2. I've intentionally avoided spoilers because I want to go into a blind and see what happens. The only thing that I have done is I knew that they were going to redo Mugen Train as an arc and do it as the first part of Season 2 and then actually officially start Season 2 with, I know it's called the Red Light District, that's all I know, or the Entertainment District, maybe Red Light Season 3 coming up, but the Entertainment District is this one, that's all I know. So, with that being said, I know nothing else about Season 2, so I spent this last week watching episodes 1 through 7, or the quote-unquote Mugen Train anime arc, to just catch up and revisit the show, and, you know, see Rengoku die again and feel sad. So, with that being said, there wasn't really anything new with the Mugen Train arc, except for the first episode. The first episode just had the grandmother and the daughter that made the bento boxes that Rengoku ate when he starts on the train, and it was just basically to establish Rengoku's character and to give the audience more reasons to get attached to his character so that when he dies we'll have more emotional investment. You know, that sort of thing. So it was really good. I thought that it was a great little transition. The way that they cut it into different, you know, episodes kind of matched with the movie, worked out really great. But now I'm here, so we are going to officially call this Season 2, Episode 1. And there's 11 episodes total, which is exciting. I'm excited to have 11 episodes, because yeah, there's 18 total. The first 7 were Mugen Train, so it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So yeah, 11 episodes. That's exciting. But yeah, it's been a while since I watched Demon Slayer, and so this last week was a lot of fun catching up with Mugen Train again. It was a great time, and now I'm excited to see Season 2. And knowing that there's Season 3, that's even more exciting. So I hope that you all enjoy this reaction and discussion. Please feel free to comment down below, but please no spoilers. If you're going to include a spoiler, please do like a tag and say Romania, don't read this post. Or if you see a spoiler on there in the comments, please feel free to comment and reply and say, hey Romania, don't read this, it's a spoiler. Because I am manga, I am not a manga reader. I am anime only going into this. I'm completely blind to what's going to happen. I'm anime only, don't know what's happening, but it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad to finally be with Demon Slayer. And it's a 45-minute episode. I turned on Crunchyroll and I was like, 46 minutes? What? I was expecting like 22, so bonus. I'm like, this is like 2 episodes in 1. So I guess it kind of is like a 12-episode season. Kind of. We're just putting the first 2 together and making it 11. Okay. Which makes me excited because I'm like, why did they have to make it 45 minutes? Must mean that there's a lot going on that they didn't want to split up, or that there wasn't a good place to split in the middle. That's exciting! So, with that being said, we are going to start episode 1 of Season 2 of Demon Slayer and see what this is all about. I'm excited, but we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Huh. So this was a very interesting first episode of Season 2. Oddly enough, I think they could have split it into 2 episodes. I get that, you know, when I first heard they were doing a season 2 of Demon Slayer and everybody was all excited, and then when they revealed that the first 7 episodes was just going to be Mugen Train made into part of the season, I remember there being a backlash and everybody being like, why are they doing that? And at the time, it made sense kind of because there were people that couldn't see Mugen Train in theaters. So it's like, okay, well, it was a bold move because usually when there are movies that are canon with the series, you don't often see them incorporate it into the anime itself. I'm thinking of Jujutsu Kaisen, but I know that Zero, the movie, is based on the prequel volume, so I'm anime only with Jujutsu Kaisen 2, so I don't know the full details, but I can see why it would be a standalone movie because it takes place before the events of the main series, whereas with this, Mugen Train is essentially part of the canon series. You can't move forward without addressing it. And so I get why they made it. I could see why they put it into the anime, but I can see why people were frustrated because they're like, we're going to spend half the season rehashing the movie that we've already seen. So I get that. So it's interesting they made this into a 45-minute episode. They could have split it, but I get right around the 29, 30-minute mark is right around the end of the whole thing with Rengoku, his brother, and his dad. And so I think if they had just not had the recap at the beginning, the first 5 minutes, they could have shortened it enough to make that whole thing with Rengoku's brother and dad its own episode. And then whatever this... But then here's the thing. The business with Tengen is so bizarre that I guess I get why they put it in with this episode. It's just a very big tonal whiplash. We go from this incredibly sad, poignant thing with Rengoku's brother and father, and then the whole thing with Muzan and Akaza, that whole series, like the tone of that part of the episode is so good and then we cut to this thing with Tengen, and it's so bizarre. Like Demon Slayer's humor is very much an acquired taste, I feel. I feel like Demon Slayer's humor, you are either going to be totally on board with it, 100%, or you're going to be totally not into it, or it's going to take a little bit of time. And there's bits and pieces. My brother loves the humor of this series. My brother thinks the show, but my brother's also read the manga. So my brother's read the manga and watched this, and he loves it. For me, the humor of Demon Slayer can be kind of hit or miss. Sometimes I think it's hilarious, like the whole thing with the swordsmith. Great. Like the physical comedy of that. Mwah, genius. I love it. Sometimes some of the humor, I'm like, what? Like Tengen's whole thing. We'll talk about Tengen and that because I'm like, wait, what? And I know, but here's the thing. We'll talk about Tengen and the Hashira and first impressions versus how you end up feeling about them, right? Because that is a big, we'll talk about that. We need to get to Tengen, and we will here soon, but I want to talk about this episode proper all the way through. So yeah, they do the rehash, and I get why they have to do the recap with Akaza, because we start out the episode with Akaza. So if you skipped Mugen Train's arc, then you need to at least know who he is moving forward in this, and to know that he has a beef with Tanjiro because Tanjiro threw a sword at him and called him a coward and basically talked about how great Rengoku was. For the record, as I'm going through this, I'm going to skip the recap part here, but for the record, and we see the people coming up to check on Inosuke and Zenitsu and Tanjiro. For the record, we see the crow going to tell Shinjiro about his brother's death. Would that not be the worst messenger possible? The worst harbinger of death would that not be awful? Because those crows, they sound like crows. If crows could talk, so they're like, your brother's dead! Could you imagine? I don't know if I'd laugh or if I'd be like, your brother's dead! Like, why? What? No. Why did you choose for that to be the messenger? I guess because I didn't know Tanjiro was going to go tell him. But that would be awful. That would be awful. At least send a Hashira to go tell him. At least send a Hashira to the house to go. But yeah, man. That's a really sad. I do like the physicality though of them not telling us what the crow says because we'd probably laugh at it. But showing Shinjiro just being heartbroken about his brother's death, because how could you not? Rengoku was a pure soul, and then not getting to see the dad's reaction, right? The dad, we'll talk about him. But yeah. So this isn't exactly an OP per se. It doesn't feel like it just feels like an opening setup. And we have the unraveling sash from the kimono that we can, from the OP tie to the demon, the female demon. So interesting. We're in the entertainment district, but I love the black and white juxtaposed with the present and seeing. And so here's the thing. That kid walked by, the one kid with the toilet bound Hanako-kun hat on, and the kid turned to look at him like he sensed something was off. And some people they've established some people are more perceptive of demons than others. So that kid probably noticed something was off with that other kid. And then of course, Muzan's just made himself right at home with this family, just integrated into the family ever so calmly. Everything's fine. To be honest, I didn't think it was Muzan at first. I saw the little kid with them, and the little kid, Muzan in child form, seems like the doctor demon, and the white-haired boy, God, now I can't think of his name. It's not Yui, but the one that the voice actor for Deku plays. But I thought it was him at first. I'm like, no, his hair's white, it's gray. It's not dark like that. And then I was really confused. And then the moment that Akaza shows up, it's like, it's Muzan. Of course it is. Because he's a shapeshifter. He's a demon that can shift. And the minute they said that it was, he can't go out in daylight, it's like, yep, And them saying, oh, well, even though he's not our son by blood, we're going to have him take over the family business. Y'all be dead by that point. But God, that scene with Muzan, it's amazing. It's so good. It's such a great way to start this whole season out, because Muzan was tragically absent through most of the Mugen Train arc, if not all of it. I think in the anime version, he's not there at all. I think in the movie, maybe there's like a scene of him to establish that he's still our main villain. But Muzan's such a great villain. He's a great antagonist. I forgot how much I love Muzan as a villain. He's just so sinister. And sinister, but professionally sinister. He loses his cool constantly, but the way it's almost like a controlled losing his cool. Like he's just sitting there like gripping the paper. And I love it's this book that he's taken from the library, taken his time to be reading through ever so calmly. And the moment Akaza just starts telling all this stuff, he just gets madder and madder and just starts ripping out page by page, which I thought was a really cool juxtaposition to how Rengoku's father ripped out the pages from the sun breathing user. Interesting. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so Muzan loses his cool a lot, but it's in such a oddly controlled fashion that it just looks badass. And Akaza, here's the thing. Akaza was kicking the snot out of Rengoku, and even though Rengoku put up an amazing fight, Akaza had the lead and was demonstrated how powerful he was, and he's nothing compared to Muzan in this moment, because Muzan can control him because of the blood. Like, Akaza, like, he just can't do anything to Muzan. And Muzan making him spit up blood and showing how weak he is. Like, it's just a demonstration of how powerful Muzan is in that moment. It's great. But, so they're looking for the blue spider lily, which wasn't the blue spider lily. There wasn't, well, the willows. There was the willows that let them hide from demons. Why does he need the blue spider lily? I'm assuming that's going to be something tying into this that we'll find out later. No spoilers, please. But yeah, interesting. And then he's like, and so you didn't find the flower that I looked for. And he's like, I will continue to live up to your expectations, Master Muzan. He's so he's so obedient and subservient here. Like, doesn't try to do, like, he was so cocky around Rengoku and like high-spirited and enthusiastic, and here he's so subdued. He's like, as ordered, I did eliminate one Hashira, so you may rest assured. And it's that rest assured line that gets him in trouble. Yeah, if he just said, I eliminated a Hashira, then it might have been. And that's what gets Muzan. He's like, you seem to have the wrong idea about this. Oh my God. I love when Muzan loses his cool. Akaza. Yeah, and just the way he like breaks the window and like instantly has like all the veins and like the blood boiling to the surface for him, because that's how much of in control Muzan is. As if it were such a feat. Oh, I love it. God. And then when the dad comes in, it's all everything's fixed, right? What I wanted is for the Demon Slayer Corps to be annihilated. And so we get reminded in this moment that Muzan can see through their eyes. He can see through them. So he's like, you had 2 other Demon Slayer Corps people that you could have killed. You didn't do it. And he's just, as he's sitting there just ripping the paper out, he's like throwing a tantrum and ripping the book, but he's doing so like in the most controlled, badass way. It's great. There were 3 other Demon Slayers there that you didn't touch. Why did you fail to kill them off? After I made a point of sending you there because you happen to be nearby. So the whole, we question in the movie why if he was tied to the lower moon demon that was controlling the train. But that really wasn't it. It was just the fact that he just happened to be in the area and Muzan sent him. So it was just fate. Just stroke of luck. Oh my God, that thing of him saying Akaza, like saying his name over and over again. It's amazing. And just making him spit up blood and cry blood the longer he does it. God, Muzan's so great. I love him as an antagonist. You've disappointed me. And then to think you've suffered a blow by a swordsman who isn't even a Hashira. How far you've fallen. And then all he says is, you're dismissed. Damn, it's so good! He's so good! And he skirks back into the shadows. Ah, I love it. And then, yeah, when the dad looks, everything's cleaned up. Oh. And he gets so mad that he goes out into the woods and finds a sword and just tears it apart piece by piece because he's so mad. Because he's so frustrated. Because Tanjiro calling him a coward because he wouldn't go back and fight. Ah. And then him just striking the sword until it's like bit by bit. And all I can think of is Tanjiro saying, you coward. And him saying that, I know what you look like. I'll come and splatter your brain matter everywhere. Oh, because he did run away. Such a great start to this season. I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, so we go to poor Zenitsu. Poor Zenitsu is trying to steal the meat buns for Tanjiro. And I like that Zenitsu, I like that he says, even the most optimistic, strong person suffers. And yeah, I like that Zenitsu is oddly, for as correct, I'm glad that Zenitsu is toned down a little bit. That was, I said in the soapbox, and my brother loves Zenitsu. Zenitsu is my brother's favorite characters. Zenitsu had to grow on me. At first I was like, okay, you need to tone it down, Zenitsu. But he has, and I like him a lot. After the whole spider arc thing, I loved Zenitsu's character a lot. But Zenitsu's calmed down a little bit. But I'm amazed that he's like literally one of the most level-headed out of all of this. Like he knows to move forward. And he like is keeping an optimistic, realistic look at this. But everybody grieves differently, right? Everybody handles grief in different ways. And we saw that with Zenitsu, with Inosuke, and with Tanjiro in the movie. And so Tanjiro is just, it's still plaguing him. And I like that Zenitsu says, okay, even the most optimistic sunshine characters who are the biggest cinnamon rolls, like Tanjiro, even they get, they face a wall and they struggle, especially when it comes to someone that they care about dying. And so I like that it humanizes Tanjiro a little bit, right? A little bit more. Not that he needed that, because Tanjiro is like a really empathetic character. But yeah, they're worried about his wounds opening up. Luckily, that doesn't happen. And then we go to him seeing Shinjiro. And it's, God, Shinjiro was such an interesting character, because we come to find out that Shinjiro, he can't become a Demon Corps member because he doesn't have the skill, right? So, and the funny thing is, he's like, because my brother's dead, the Flame Hashira line is going to be broken because I can't pass that on to my son. And Tanjiro was like, it's okay. I think Rengoku would have been fine with you doing whatever you wanted to do. Like, you don't have to follow this family bloodline if it's not going to work out. Because he's decided he wants to do something different. He doesn't want to be a swordsman. He wants to apply himself in a different way. And I think that's really cool. I'll be curious to see if we tie back to Shinjiro, what he ends up learning and what he ends up doing instead of being a swordsman. I think that will be interesting. But I feel like Shinjiro's voice actor was Atsushi from Bungo Stray Dogs. It sounded like Atsushi. Or it seemed like him. I'm sure y'all will tell me in the comments down below. But the dad, the former Hashira, the father, who's just, and on the surface, you kind of get it, right? Because he's lost his wife. His eldest son was pursuing a career that would certainly end up killing him. And his youngest son isn't strong enough to become a Hashira or a Demon Corps member himself. So you kind of get, even though his dad is lashing out and being awful to Shinjiro and to Tanjiro in these scenes, I get it. Because he's a man that's lost his wife. His son is being put in a position that he could possibly die, and does. But it's a position he himself was in before, so he knows the dangers involved. And on top of that, his other son will not be able to defend himself against a demon. So his one son will possibly be killed by demons, and the other one might be killed by demons too because he can't defend himself. And he feels inadequate. I feel like we don't know the full story with Rengoku's father yet, but it just feels like something happened. He feels inadequate. He feels like he can't do his job anymore, or he left because he just couldn't take it. And so he's just in this pit of despair, and he lashes out with anger because he doesn't know what else to do. He drinks, and he lashes out because he can't manage his grief and his emotions in a stable way. And it's really sad because there's lots of people like him. I get kind of like there's a vibe of maybe touching on tropes or touching on thematic elements with people who are veterans. I guess that could be, you could look at it that way, because he was a Hashira. He has been in battle. He has gone to war with the demons, and he's left that position. So it's kind of a commentary on a side of when people do leave that position and what ends up happening afterwards. And it's a sad fact that some people slip into states like this because they just can't cope, or there's other factors involved, like what we see with Rengoku's father here. So it's really sad, actually. I wasn't mad at the dad here. I was sad that I felt more pity towards him and felt sad because you get kind of where he's coming from, but it's a shame because Shinjiro's suffering because of it. Like the things he says to Shinjiro and lashing out at him, it's like, that's not necessary. And you get why the dad's doing it, but it makes me feel bad for Shinjiro. It makes me feel bad for him. And then you add the loss of his son on top of it. And he just doesn't want, he's like, he doesn't think that Rengoku is talented enough. Oh, so when he sees Tanjiro, he's drinking in because he's died. And he's like trying to push off the fact. He's trying to say, well, my son died because he wasn't strong enough. It was only expected. Like, he's trying to just cope and give some kind of label to this grief and some kind of reasoning behind it. And it doesn't change the fact of the matter that his son's dead. And he believes that Rengoku was going to curse him no matter what. He believes that his final words would have cursed his father because his father didn't show any love towards him. But Rengoku's not like that. Rengoku just tells Tanjiro to tell his dad to take care of himself. And when he says what a fool of a son Kyojuro was, it's like, you tell Tanjiro. I was like, Tanjiro's going to just lash out. And then the dad says that your level of talent is determined the day you're born. So he not only says that to justify why Rengoku has died, saying Rengoku was never strong enough to survive as a Hashira, but there's a double meaning to it. He's saying it in front of Shinjiro, saying, oh, well, your talent was established when you were born. So Shinjiro, quit trying to be a swordsman. It's not going to work. And then, Tanjiro's big thing is to headbutt people. So Tanjiro's best asset is to headbutt people. But Rengoku's father instantly knows that Tanjiro is a sun breather. So we get some actual answers about the whole dance, the fire dance, everything. It's that it's sun breathing. Now, I will say, when the dad said the funeral's over, wipe the gloomy look off your face, that part was hard because everybody grieves differently for different periods of time. So that was uncalled for. Like, he did not have to say that to his son. Even if he's dealing with his own grief, did not have to say that. And that's when Tanjiro was like, hey, leave your kid alone. He's grieving. That's going way too far. Yeah, I get that for sure. And then, who the hell are you? And the moment he says that he's a Demon Corps member and he sees the earrings, that's when he realizes that he's a sun breather. Okay. And he knows the history behind it. So, okay. And we got a glimpse of somebody with a sword with the earrings that's from Muzan's past, right? There's somebody with the earrings that was in Muzan's past, and that's why Muzan wanted Tanjiro dead. So this guy has had the same encounter with someone like that. So interesting. Interesting. We're getting little crumbles more, right? That's linking this. But yeah, him just pushing Sindro away. But yeah, so he says that all the breathing techniques originated from sun breathing. Fire, water, they're all imitations. And that just makes Tanjiro feel awful because Tanjiro was like, wow, I had this original power, one of the most powerful breathing techniques, and I couldn't save Rengoku because I wasn't strong enough to handle it. Because like he tells Sindro, he wasn't strong enough to control it. He could only like keep up, but he couldn't take control and master it. Dang. So yeah, but yeah, I like that the humor in this show where he's like, are you okay? And he's like, I think he'll be fine. And so they find the Flame Hashira book and it's been torn to pieces. So now Tanjiro's gonna have to play detective work and try to piece it back together. So of course in true anime fashion, we get just like a few little answers from the dad, but not enough to give us all the answers. And the MacGuffin that could give us all the answers is out of commission. So go figure. Go figure. And then the dad, again, I just feel pity for the dad because you see him just like walking back with the sake and he just is stumbling like he's at this point, he knows his son is dead and he's grieving, but he's in denial. I felt there were a few moments I really didn't like the dad's actions, like when he hit Sindro, when he told him about like the funeral's over line. That was uncalled for, but then you see that the dad is he's in despair, like from losing his son. And he probably was in despair when his son decided to join the Hashira and go out because he knows that once you become a Hashira, you're probably going to die. So he probably was in despair over that. He just didn't know how to say it to his son. It's just, I felt really sad for him. Just sad all around. I like that Tanjiro was able to tell Sindro about his brother in his last words, right? And when we do the cue card and we cut to the dad all hunched over, it's just sad. But yeah, so I like that Tanjiro leaves and that whole shot, and he gets the guard on the sword. So I'm guessing when Tanjiro gets his sword back, he's gonna have maybe he's gonna have the guard. Maybe he's gonna have Rengoku's guard on his new sword. Maybe that would be really cool. I would like that if he got the guard on his new sword. That'd be really fun. But then the moment that he goes to the dad's room, Sindro does, and he's like, it's probably his gripes towards me. I know what he'd say. And then when he starts crying, I was like, oh. The animation's great in this episode. But yeah, that's so sad, like seeing the dad cry and finally like hunched over grieving his son. Yeah. And then the swordsman, and then I thought the swordsman was like a demon in the road. Might as well be. But yeah, he's just sitting there. I love it. He's got the knives. Like, just got the knives. And he's got knives attached to his head, too. Oh my God, it's great. And he just like chucks up the tree. Amazing. Like that type of humor with Demon Slayer, I'm all about. Like, this series likes to do a lot of physical humor, like with expressions and with actions. And the physical humor, like with the swordsman, like climbing up the tree using the knives as like anchors and having the knives on his head. And just that whole thing is hilarious. I love that. That part I'm all about. The stuff with Tengen, what? We'll get to that. So yeah, they give him the dumplings. It's cute. They give the sword maker the dumplings to calm him down. And then we get this like buff montage. Our dudes, I will say this, the animation in this, they make our boys swole. They're like just like show, like getting Tanjiro with that 8-pack, Zenitsu and Sanosuke too, and Inosuke as well. But even Nezuko, like they draw her with like thick legs. Like the girl has some muscle to her. She got some definition. Like I like that about the mangaka, that they're not all just like Bleach level, like, which that's Kubo's art style. It's different. But yeah, these guys, our boys, they be buff. We get like a brief moment of fan service and they put the top back on. But just so y'all know, Tanjiro's ripped underneath that. Explains how they can fight demons. But yeah, so then Tanjiro goes and he fights the demon with Nezuko. It's great. Remember when spiders used to be the most threatening thing and creepiest thing in this series? Now it's just like, oh yeah, spider demon. It's fine. But yeah, they do it in secret. And I like that Tanjiro, he's not perfect. He does make a few mistakes and he acknowledges them. I love Tanjiro as a protagonist though, because he's just so kind-hearted and has such a positive like sense of duty and compassion towards others. Like he's just a really good protagonist. I like Tanjiro a lot. He's sweet. But yeah, but then we go back. Then he goes back to the Butterfly Mansion after that mission. And Tengen, we need to talk about him because he's just, here's my thing with Tengen. He just shows up here, grabs the first two girls he sees, tells them to shut up, and then is going to head out with them, basically kidnapping them to take them to the entertainment district. Like, why did he need these girls? He clearly didn't need girls specifically, or maybe he does, and he's just going to, like, make Tanjiro and the others cross-dress. I don't know. But, one, why did he just grab them and go and not explain the situation? Two, why does he need these two why do they have to be Demon Corps members? Why does he need two, specifically? Three, Kano, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just standing there. She just stands there and lets him take Aoi and, yeah, Kano. I can never say her name right. Kano, they're like, what? And she's like short-circuiting. She's like, I have the mission. I have an order by Shinobu to let this guy do whatever he wants, I'm assuming. Shinobu's my superior. I can't disobey her, but there's Aoi and Naho. He's a Hashira. I use the coin. And she's just debating what to do. And I love that she flashes back to what Tanjiro told her, being like, follow your heart. Don't use the coin. And I love that he's just like, no, just follow your heart and it'll be the right decision. And that's what she decides to do. And so she stops him, Lady Kanao, stops him from leaving. I love she has Aoi's hand in the girl's robe. Yeah. But yeah, so he just is about to peace out with her. And I love that Tanjiro shows up thinking that there's trouble. And I love that shot of when he looks over and he's like, like Tanjiro's face when it's like the still frame of him with all these girls around him, which from the OP, he has 3 girls around him too. So interesting. I'm like, is this guy like a womanizer? These girls are way too young for him. But Tanjiro's face with the question marks is me in this moment. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? I'm going to take a picture of that because I'm just like, why are they swarming around him? What is happening? Or being held, which is it? And the guy just like heads up to leave. And then the one girl's like, he's kidnapping them. And I love that as Tanjiro's yelling at him, Kanao's like, yes, listen to him. He's like, I'm a flashy man renowned around these parts. Your headbutts will... Yeah, he tried to headbutt him and then he got away. He's like, let Aoi and Naho go, you lousy kidnapper. And Kanao's like, yeah, what he said. He's like, one of them's not even a member of the Demon Corps. And this gets me where he's like, oh, she's not? Because they say hentai. The one girl say hentai. So I'm like, this guy, he's really all about being flashy. And he talks about the entertainment district and it being like filled with lusts and desires. So I'm like, he doesn't seem, I'm like, I don't think he's perverted, but I'm like, what? Why did he steal these 2 girls? And then the moment he figures out the one's not with the Demon Corps, he's just like, oh, never mind. It's just like, what? He is a mystery. He is a mystery. But here's the thing. Here's what I was going to say at the beginning of this. As Tanjiro is saying he doesn't acknowledge him as a Hashira, and he's like, don't harm me. Yeah, who cares if you don't acknowledge me? My thing is that we've seen with the Hashira so far, with Rengoku and Shinobu and some of the others during the Hashira meeting in season 1, 2 things about them stand out. One, with the exception of Giyu, they are all ridiculously eccentric and flamboyant characters, with the exception of maybe the missed one and Giyu. Giyu is like the most straight-laced, and that's why they don't like him, because he's too straight-laced, too straightforward. He's just like, he's too chill. But one, they're all, for the most part, flamboyant or eccentric or ridiculous in terms of their personalities. And two, the first impression we have of them is usually wrong. So it's usually a misdirect. The mangaka of this series likes to give you a misdirect. And then the more you get to know the characters, the more you're like, okay, I get why you're like this now. So like Rengoku, for example, comes across when you first meet him as being like super like tasty. Like he just does that tasty thing over and over again. And he seems like he's just super, super outgoing, optimistic. And then you find out he has this really hardcore sense of justice and duty and compassion that is kind of buried beneath this like fiery, overly optimistic exterior. Shinobu comes across as being really cold and distant, but then you find out why she's like that. And it's like, okay, you find out a little bit more about her. And I have a feeling with Tengen that he comes across as being this flippant, flamboyant, showboaty, like likes flashy things only, kind of like superficial kind of guy that you're like, what are you even doing? But I have a feeling that the more we get to know his character, we're going to dig deeper and peel back those layers and then realize, okay, there's more to your character. Here's what is beneath the surface. So I'm waiting for that to happen because I'll be honest, on first glance of Tengen, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about you. I don't know how to feel about him, honestly. But interesting. Yeah, he's like, I need some female core members from this. Yeah. And he's like, well, one of them's not it, so that's not gonna work. And so then he decides to take Zenitsu and Inosuke and Tanjiro instead, which makes sense because they're flashy, right? They stand out. You have a guy in a boar's head. You have Zenitsu, who's this big orange-yellow guy, and then you have Tanjiro. Like, they're flashy enough. They'll work, right? And then he's like, we're going to the entertainment district where there's a bunch of really strong demons. Of course there would be. And then we got the OP. And I do like a few things stand out from the OP already. One, Tanjiro is being like, the entertainment district, because back when he first went to the big city, he made such a big deal about seeing two people make out. If he goes to the entertainment district, it's gonna get even more risque. And I don't know if our poor virgin eyes of Tanjiro was ready for that. And then Zenitsu looked like he was having a good time in the OP, though. And then the second thing was that Michael Jackson Muzan is back. Yes, please. Yes, please. My favorite Muzan is Lady Muzan. That's my favorite version of Muzan. Lady Muzan's my favorite. That one's the most aesthetically pleasing. But there's something about Michael Jackson Muzan that's just, it's great. I don't like Little Kid Muzan. Little Kid Muzan reminded me of Pride from Full Metal Alchemist. I was like, oh no. I thought maybe that's I thought before we knew it was Muzan that it was a demon. And I was like, oh, okay, is this going to be like a pride thing? And it's going to be like one of the... I thought in my head, I'm like, oh, is this little kid demon going to be like one of Muzan's big bads, like one of the upper moons? No, it is the upper moon. It is Muzan himself. So, fun times. But yeah, so I'm very intrigued. Tengen's going to have to grow on me. But again, we've seen this with Zenitsu. We've seen this with Shinobu and Rengoku. We see this with Inosuke. The first impressions of these characters are often not what we should take away from them, as the mangaka likes to do. So I'm going to reserve my judgment of Tengen for now. I'm going to be like, that was a very weird introduction for him. We saw him at the Hashira meeting in season 1, but this was a very unique kind of first meeting of him. And so I'll be curious to see in the next episode when they go to the entertainment district how his character develops and what more we get on him. So we shall see, right? But in any case, I hope y'all enjoyed this discussion and reaction. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below. Please comment below. I'm anime only, so please no spoilers. Or if you're going to tag a spoiler, be like, Romania, please don't read, and then spill your guts. But in any case, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be back next week with episode 2 of season 2 of Demon Slayer. Bye.